Yeah, football time now on the SportsMax Zone. Jamaica's Reggae Boyz revived their flagging World Cup qualifying hopes on Wednesday, beating hosts Honduras by 2-0 at the Estadio Olímpico Metropolitano in San Pedro Sula. Kimar Roof and O'Neill Fisher scored in either half to help the boys beat the Central Americans on home soil for the first time. Reggae Boyz coach Theodore Whitmore said the team can build from what was their best result and performance of the round today.
Personally, I think we executed properly today. I think we played a decent first half. The second half, I think we dropped back a little bit too deep and it caused us a bit of hiccup. But I think it's a game where the guys will deserve something from it. I think one of the key areas for us tonight was not conceding. I think we fight. It showed from the last Canada game, and I think we build on that coming into this game.
Head coach Theodore Whitmore there. Roof, who opened the scoring in the 38th minute, said the win was thoroughly deserved.
It's a special moment for all of us. Obviously myself getting my first goal for the country. I want to dedicate this one to my dad, because obviously he's the reason why I'm playing for Jamaica. And then obviously it's massive for the team to get the 3 points, and I think not because of this game, I think it all stems from the game against Canada. We didn't get the 3 points, but we got the draw, but we come out that game with solidarity, with belief, and respect as well from that game, and then we built on that and put it into tonight's game, and we managed to get the 3 points.
Yes, so in other matches, the United States came from behind to defeat Costa Rica by 2-1 with Serginho Dest, the Barcelona 20-year-old, scoring a fine goal, and that game saw an all-Jamaican staff in charge with Damian Parchment holding the whistle. Mexico beat host El Salvador 2-0 in the surprise result of the round. Canada beat up on Panama by 4-1. And joining us to discuss the performance of the Reggae Boyz is football analyst Clyde Jureidini. And Clyde, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. Great to have you on. I was saying at the top of the show, Clyde, that it took them 6 games to win a match, and Chris Taylor is also joining us. But they finally got one, and as it now stands, they are just 3 points off not an automatic playoff spot, but a potential playoff spot in number 4.
Yeah, good afternoon to all of you and to the viewers. A victory always does that. It tends to change the entire perspective, the belief, and I heard Kemar Roof use a term that I don't think he has used in a Jamaican jersey: solidarity and belief. And it starts to build those cornerstones on which you make progress. 1 point in the last game, 3 points in the next game, and it opens up a whole new panacea of what probabilities can happen in the next 2 games in November window.
Yeah, and a little bit more specifically on the Jamaican performance now, Clyde, and Chris can comment as well. The overall diligence that the players produced on the field last night was very heartwarming to Jamaican fans. I don't think there was a Jamaican player last night who had a bad game. So there was this cohesiveness and this all-round fighting attitude that they displayed that worked well for them.
Yes, definitely. I think it could be said in terms of 2 of our stalwarts who have been our defensive rock and captains and leaders were possibly not at their best games last night. We saw some errors in judgment from goalkeeper Andre Blake with 2 balls aerially, and also Damian Lowe, some misjudgments, and you got the feeling there was a feeling of anxiety permeating the back line, that they weren't as settled as they looked, but they did the job. They got back into their leadership roles and they kept the ship sailing in a forward position.
Yeah, I'm going to pose this question now. We have Chris Taylor with us also. Chris, welcome. Can you talk talk to us about the fact that, when we were up against Canada, it appeared to be the turning point. And then, when we faced Honduras, the team looked as if they had gelled together and they were ready to take the full 3 points. And of course, we got them.
I think the result was great. I don't think that Jamaica necessarily performed very well or where we would want them to perform. But at the end of the day, as I say, an ugly win is better than a pretty loss. So Jamaica got the 3 points at the end of the day. I think Damian Lowe coming back into the defensive unit was a big deal for the Jamaicans. He has been the best centre-back I think they have had. And his fight and encouragement and leadership from the backline, I think, added a lot to the Jamaican team's contingent. I thought O'Neill Fisher outside of the right-back role and more in a midfield role where he breaks up play very well was also something that helped to thwart some of the Honduran attacks that would have been going on. I just don't think that the Honduras team is a strong team either. I think had they been more clinical up front, there are opportunities, especially aerial opportunities, that they probably feel they should have done better with. But as I said, 3 points for the Jamaicans is the first time they've ever won in Honduras in qualifications. I think that's a big deal for them. They kept a clean sheet as well. But I would still like to see better football from the Jamaican team. I think this idea of kicking out from the back and just lofting balls up front is not the way to move forward if you want to get positive results for the remainder of the season. I don't think that will bring a lot of success. But that being said, great to get the 3 points. Good goal by Fisher and Roof. I think Roof has added a lot to this starting lineup as well, just in terms of his work rate and his ability to come within the midfield. But I think from a staff point of view, Theodore Whitmore and company, I think we need to look for better creators within our midfield. I think we need to enhance that midfield a lot more.
Right. And Chris, a question that has been playing on my mind since the game yesterday. The UK-based players, they will be available for the next match. If you are Tapper, and I'm putting you in some big shoes, what do? Do you go with your winning team? There's this saying that you can change your winning team. Do you bring in these players?
Well, I think a lot of these players will boost the Reggae Boyz performance. I mean, yes, Shamar Nicholson has been there and he scored 2 out of the 4 goals. But it's hard to say that you're going to put a player like Mikel Antonio who will bring so much in terms of forward prowess, the ability to hold up the ball and so on. Yes, chemistry is an issue, but I think if for example, himself and let's say Daniel Johnson, who is I think an integral part of the Jamaican midfield in terms of quality, if those players do come into the setup, I definitely think they need to play. I mean, cohesion will always be an issue, and I don't think that even last night, I don't think that the players were necessarily always on the same page. But I think that the fight, which is what we want to see from the Reggae Boyz, was certainly there. Everybody put their bodies and so on the line. But yes, with some of these English-based players coming in, I would like to think, based on the quality that they have, that they should be in and around the starting lineup.
Yeah, Clyde, what do you make of the formation and the strategy that Theodore Whitmore went in? They went 4-4-2. Fisher has not had a lot of playing time in the World Cup qualifiers, but Alvas Powell was out, so that necessitated him coming in. And the decision was made to drop the 37-year-old Javon Watson at central defence with Damian Lowe. How did that pan out for you? Because the team ended up playing a successful game because they won. But about the run of play and how they strategized and delivered, what are your thoughts on what the strategy was last night?
I think it is one of the few times in this octagonal playoff, Lance, that we have seen Theodore Tapper Whitmore on the offensive. He was quick of wit. He called that tactical maneuver brilliantly, just about 17, 18 minutes into the first half when we were under the cosh and Honduras were launching attack after attack, trying to get the first goal in the game. Both teams were desperate for a win and to score first. And we got by that early assault. But when we settled with the 4-4-2, as you said, Javon Watson, who has been heralded as the person least likely to succeed, was using a maneuver by Tapper to pull him back into a stationary covering sweeper position open out Mariappa to the right, push Fisher into the wide midfield and then inside. And that's where the pivot came. And himself and Anthony Grant on the other side of the midfield harassed the hosts, Honduras, took over the game, won the first goal by Roof, and then took over the game more and more the longer it went off. And O'Neill Fisher showed his versatility, much like Javon Watson, much like Grant. The people who do the dirty work came out winners yesterday, and it's going to be hard for all the players who were not there yesterday in Honduras to make it back into the starting team for the next 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
This is
a bit of a worry, though. A bit of a worry there.
Yes, Chris.
No, I was saying it's a bit of a worry for me. I hear Clyde with the likes of Grant and Watson and even Mariappa. And I think against teams that play quicker in terms of transition, the younger teams with a lot of pace, for example, the US, who ran riot. I think the older legs, I mean, you're looking at Javon Watson, he's 37, Mariappa is 35, going 36, Grant is in and around that same age. And I think their lack of pace and speed was exposed against teams like the USA. I just don't think that Honduras have the quality to fully expose them. But it is a worry for me going forward against those better teams, how leggy we were. And it ended up in the Reggae Boyz doing a lot of late tackles, a lot of pulls, a lot of yellow cards received just because they could not keep up with the likes of the younger, quicker players. And that is a big deal going forward. Yeah. Not necessarily against Honduras, who are at the bottom of the table, but against the top teams.
Yeah, I think we can't play everybody as if they're the USA. And the USA thought they were so fast and so efficient after defeating Jamaica. They then changed and did the same blunder that we made against Panama in Kingston by bringing 7 new players. Right. And Panama spanked them. And that's where they lost. And they got their groove back last night. So did Canada when they came here on Sunday and thought that their speed would sail by us. Couldn't get a goal.
Yeah, but Clyde...
They reconstituted and then got by Panama.
But Clyde, it was Fisher who was given the task of marking Davis. And he did a good job. He did a good job, eh?
Yeah, I want to say, Clyde, that I think Chris may be onto something there, because you have praised Whitmore on his strategy that he employed for the game against Honduras last night. But Honduras have been the worst playing team in the CONCACAF octagonal so far. So is it that in the other assignments coming up, the return game against the USA and so on, I think what Chris is saying is that even though the strategy worked last night, there may have to be some adjustment when we play these different teams who offer a different kind of challenge.
Well, definitely. But let's look at what is the reality. and we have been jumping, which is why we made a mistake with the British-based players and the game in Panama. The next game we have is against El Salvador, not the USA. So let's not get to the USA. Let's get by El Salvador first and then see who is available with the rotation, with injuries, with availability, and then let's go against USA. Because the truth be told, Lance and Chris and Mariah and George, whoever we put on the field against the USA, we're going to have some problems. The USA and Mexico are the 2 best teams in the group.
Well, here's the thing for me. I hear Chris and I hear Clyde, and both men are speaking. There's a lot of truth to what has been said so far. I'm agreeing with Clyde that based on the game against Honduras, the formation selected was right. The strategy was correct. And there's no greater support for those 2 points than the result, which was a 2-0 win. So Tapa designed the team and crafted a strategy that was useful and effective for Honduras. But Chris is worried that people shouldn't get excited about the lineup, the personnel and the formation and even the approach against Honduras, because against better teams in the group, that would be found wanting, and I'm agreeing with that. But let's start at the place that for much of these qualifiers so far, Whitmore and his coaching staff have been criticized for not playing the right players in the right position, given what he has at his disposal. last night wasn't one of those occasions where we could say, boy, you picked the wrong team or you deployed players in positions that they weren't effective in, because that again is borne out by the overall result. But I doubt very much that with what he has at his disposal, that he would send this team out against one of the top teams in the group, Mexico, Canada, the United States, Canada away. I doubt he would start this lineup, but I think we should credit him for getting his selection right on Wednesday night and for getting the tactics right against a Honduras team that doesn't have the weapons to exploit our weaknesses like other better teams in the group have. That's the point I'm making, Chris.
And I can live with that, George. I agree. I was agreeing with Clyde that based on yesterday, and as I said, I gave Whitmore credit for the fact of putting Fisher within the midfield. I actually think O'Neal Fisher is a lot better within that role than at right back. I think he breaks up play very well. He's a tyrant within the middle of the park. And you need one of those players in our midfield. Where I think Jamaica is lacking is the creativity, the vision, that ability to pick a pass, which now brings... Because let us state it. You mentioned in the last show about the 2017 Gold Cup team, which played really a good brand of football. It looked in international quality. Right now, at their disposal, the Reggae Boyz have better attacking players than they did in 2017 in terms of their forward line. You think of Mikel Antonio, you think of Bobby Reed, you think of Kemar, and so on, who are up front now with Shamar Nicholson. It's a better attacking lineup than they would have had previously. But how do you make them be effective? You have to bring the proper midfield into play, and I think that is what Tapper needs to look at. I think we have local players who have the ability to make that kind of transition, and I would like to see them employed. I mentioned before I spoke about the likes of Lamar Walker, who I think would be a great addition. Demar Rose, those kind of players who are young players who have that component that I think the Reggae Boyz are missing.
But Clyde.
So certainly I agree.
Clyde, we've had as Chris is saying, Chris is making a point that has been made so far in these qualifiers. 6 games in, and the Reggae Boyz' problem continues to be that first receiver from defense. So the defense takes the ball and gives it to this man, who then starts everything ticking. But we're 6 games deep, Clyde, and we know we have that problem. So what Theodore Whitmore and his coaching staff can start doing and continuing from Wednesday night is to fashion a strategy and a formation and an approach that makes good use of what we have. Because we all agree, Clyde, that Cargill-type metronome in the midfield, or even Jermaine Hugh if you ask him to play that role, we don't quite have that player, even though advanced ahead of that player are talents of the kind that Chris spoke of, that we have enough of those players. But that midfield metronome, that person who dictates fast or slow, long or short, snappy or more measured passes, we don't have that player. So it is that the coaching staff is left to make the best with what they have.
Yes, and that will take time. So, and that's my caution that I'm saying to everybody. Let's go step by step. We made one step forward. What we're looking to do is to continue building on this base of solidifying the defense, keep clean sheets as often as we can with players who we don't think can do it, like Javon Watson. He has come in and he has become a part of the team unit. So let's build from the midfield going forward if we can first contain all the opposition.
But Clyde, Chris is correct. Hold on, Chris. Chris is correct, yeah. Clyde. Chris is very correct in cautioning against those who would be excited by Javon Watson playing at centre half, because we know against the better teams that could prove to be a liability. But at the same time, Chris, let us congratulate Javon Watson for his contribution to a defense that kept a clean sheet against Honduras on Wednesday.
And no, agreed. But keeping a clean sheet against Honduras is not necessarily a grand feat. But fine, I will give credit there. Good job.
But Chris, in a context where we have been struggling to keep clean sheets, let's congratulate him for his role in doing that. But I agree that, like you said, against the best teams, there's no way I don't think Tapa would even contemplate playing him there.
He may. Because remember when he called him, gentlemen,
yes.
and Mariah, he called him because when we were 1-1 with Mexico, yeah. That last change or the last couple changes, he didn't think he had someone who he could stand up for 5, 10 or 15 minutes. This man has come and played 90 minutes against Canada.
Yeah.
and then turn around and play 90 minutes in Honduras.
Let me hear Chris Clyde. Let me hear Chris Clyde. Let me hear Chris.
Let's focus on him. Let's get the transition to build from a solid background, because he's going to rotate in and out like everybody else.
Let me hear Chris Clyde. We're running out of time. Let me hear Chris.
Well, Clyde, I agree. Javon Watson has done a great job. He has gone up here and given 150%. I am not doubting that. That has always been Javon Watson. The point of the matter is, Honduras is in the bag. That's finished. He did a good job there. For you to continue to get positive results, you have to look at the opponent you're going to play and make the requisite changes there. And to me, Javon Watson and some of the other older players who are lacking in pace are going to be exposed against the quicker teams. And they are not. It's not only the US of A. There is Mexico, there is Canada, and there is also El Salvador, who have some form of quality in terms of pace. Now, if we don't rectify that, then we're going to play a chasing game where we are saying, well, you know, we did the best that we can based on why not try and make, in other words, be proactive instead of reactive. As George has said, it's 6 games in, and you have still not to look to rectify that issue.
But Clyde, I give you the last word, Clyde. I give you the last. We're almost out of time, Clyde. The fact is that what happened Wednesday gives us a solid base to move forward. And as more players become available to the coaching staff, they're going to have to solve the puzzle of, depending on the strength of the opponent, which players to use in which position, knowing very well that there are some positions that we are weak in compared to others.
Correct. And I think we're all agreed there. So let's look how we transition with good selection. As I complimented Tapo with before, it was one of the first of the 6 games that he has been proactive in changing the tactics, and it worked. But he hasn't been reactive and proactive in the other games. He needs to continue doing that with the right players in the right positions at the right time. Get Tyreek McGee and Ravel Morrison into that attacking midfield role and let them start providing up close and one-on-one opportunities. That's the next stage we need to move toward.
Gentlemen, we're out of time. I'll say this to you. Look, for the first time in the 6 games so far, I counted, Jamaica played 11 passes out of defense going forward. No long ball from the right to the center to the left going forward. That small kernel, gentlemen, represents progress where I'm concerned, and I hope we can build from that as we play tougher teams than Honduras.
At the time.
Very political.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much, gentlemen. All the best.
Yeah, and you know the next cycle of games is actually a 2-match cycle and not 3. All of the cycles that we've had so far were 3 matches over a 7 or 8 day period. Coming up in November, just 2 matches, El Salvador and the USA. So I suspect that there will be more of a difficulty for Coach Whitmore to decide on who starts, because in these last 2 sequences we have had situations where players were only available for 2 matches or so.
You make a very good point,
yeah.
But I don't think that his selection problem will be what it is relative to the start of the campaign.
Because now he knows.
Absolutely. He knows who can do what.
Yeah.
Look, you know...
Yeah, but I suspect that Leon Bailey will be fit by November.
But he knows what Leon Bailey can do. The point I'm making is this. The reason I felt that we would have done better against Honduras, I think, is the weakest team in the group. So I thought that, good God, these can't beat us. That's one. Mm-hmm. And the other thing to consider is this. Whereas some people felt they would have been leggy for the 3rd game in quick succession, yes. I thought that it would be good because guess what? The players now have a better sense of what each other can do and what the coaching staff wants. Not quite chemistry, but better than physics.
Better chemistry than
All right, Lance, it's yours.
Yeah, we go to break. We'll be back with more on the SportsMax Zone after this.